Simon Longstaff. And apart from Simon Longstaff, Marlene Brunei is coming in, as well as Tilly Mali. Please. And starting with Simon, as the rest of the guys just stand next, please stand next to over there. I'm going to start with you, Simon. What's your idea? What's your big idea?
Well, Alan, I don't know. I think everybody will have noticed there's been a golden thread passing through every session here, which has been a reference to ethics, to good sportsmanship. And I think it's time to do something which might be a very large undertaking, but which is entirely doable. And that is to consider creating something like a Nobel Prize for sportsmanship. Some award that celebrates the best and the fairest that sport has. There's nothing quite like it anywhere in the world at the moment. There are glimpses of it, but to identify and to celebrate people for their sportsmanship, I think, would be a marvellous tonic in the world. And it's entirely doable. For example, we could reach out to the International Association of Sports Journalists, and they could be involved in nominating on a national and regional basis those who exhibit this kind of exemplary performance. And ultimately, there would be a highly prestigious international prize awarded for those people. So there's good stories being told all the time to counteract some of those other ones which people find challenging.
You know, as an African who watches a lot of these sports initiatives, all these sorts of brilliant ideas like that, I don't see many Africans, for example, winning awards in literature. How do you make sure that everybody is involved? How do you not depoliticize things, something like that, and make sure that it is refined?
That's a good point. Something like a Nobel Prize for sport, because we do have them in literature, we have them in science and things. What you do is by setting it up in the very beginning so that every continent is guaranteed to have its representatives on the short list, it would ensure, with a fair arrangement, proper management, and with the ethics part written right into the core of it, that you'd actually achieve a fair distribution of awards over time.
Okay, that's very interesting. Let's give him a round of applause. Thank you very much for that. I'd also like to introduce you to Marlene. Marlene, what's your great idea? Yeah, sorry, Marlene next, yes.
Thank you. Based on the conversation that we had today in changing the perception of women in sport, the recommendation would be to include at the Doha Goals Forum next year a gathering of all women leaders in sport as part of the forum. Believing that sport is the greatest laboratory for learning that we have, a gathering of women leaders could allow women to inspire each other and learn from each other and create an action plan in 3 areas. One is to go back to their countries with a plan to engage more young girls in sport, regardless of economics, regardless of ability or disability, but to engage more girls in sport. Secondly, to build a much stronger awareness of women athletes as role models. So every little girl has the opportunity to say, if I can see her, I can be her. And thirdly, to create a pathway for more women to move into leadership roles in sport, in their country, in their coaching associations, and in all ways across the globe.
How do you protect that from being referred to as just another of those handouts, favors to women, for women to benefit from? I don't want to call it affirmative action, but there is a risk that someone could call it affirmative action, isn't there?
There could be a risk. But
and in this context, doesn't it sort of dilute the participation of women, the prominence of women? Doesn't it seem like a bit of a sort of a soft a handout to women?
I don't think so. I think sport teaches that we need to be a team member, we need to work hard, we need to be disciplined, and if we learn the lessons of sport about leadership, we need to put those into action. So I don't see it as being soft at all. In fact, I think it's a call to women to be responsible, to say, I'm grateful for the opportunity that sport has given me, and now I'm going to take responsibility and make the world of sport even better than it is
Isn't it
now.
important to include men in that sort of forum?
Absolutely. Men should be very much a part of the dialogue.
So it's not just going to be women, it's going to be men and women.
Yes.
So how different is it
Yes.
going to be from this?
Because the focus is going to be unique on women and girls.
Let's give her a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Tilly's up next. Tilly, I'd like to hear from you. What's your big idea?
Well, today, during the task force, my group over there, we came up with the idea of the initiative that we should combat psychological disorders using sport.
What do you mean psychological disorders?
Well, such as depression or more serious things such as schizophrenia, people recovering from them. And our idea was that we could include those people in sport. For example, have football matches with mixed teams, people suffering from depression, and people who play sport often, so that they can be involved in a more inclusive community. And we could also use figureheads to try and reduce the stigma that revolves around these disorders.
And it seems like a pretty interesting thing, which might, however, end up stereotyping people because they're already coming into a situation with a mark on them that says that, oh, you're depressed.
Yeah, well, that is true, but the whole drive behind it is that they're mixing with people who are not, so they'll have a positive impact because they'll be passing to each other, they'll be scoring with each other, they'll become a team, and hopefully society will come and support them, support matches, and build support for those people, those individuals.
So are you most interested in children, young people, or are you also interested in adults as well?
No, both of them. I think whoever can be helped should be helped.
Okay. Round of applause for Tilly, ladies and gentlemen. Brilliant idea that. Ameeq Singh,
Yes, sir.
you're from India.
Yes, I am.
And I'm really keen to hear what you have to say.
Okay, so me along with my group. Okay, first of all, good evening. I'm Ameeq Singh and I'm from India. And me along with my group came up with solutions to the problem of division and fragmentation in society. Now, this problem is very close to our heart as we come from a country where this is hugely prevalent. Now, why this is important to us?
I think it will be easier if you hold your mic away a little bit.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, that's fine. Don't worry.
Okay, so why this is important is because it is necessary to maintain the cohesion in a particular society, in any society.
So cohesion in society, you're talking about making sure that everybody is integrated into sport. Is that what you mean?
That's right.
Okay, and how are you planning to achieve that?
Okay, so we have two solutions put forth. So one is obviously education. We will spread awareness through workshops and spread and educate young minds. And the second one we have is a concept of community games. We want to hold inter-community games so that people form teams in their communities, including all the children or all the participants of every group in the community.
Oh. So when you say community games, do you mean within villages, what do you mean by that exactly? What sort of community?
Any sort of community. I mean, the whole point of this is that they integrate together and, this eradicates all the differences.
Right. That's brilliant. Is there something like that that's happening at all where you come from?
No, I believe not yet, but I hope to make that change.
Okay. How are you planning to make that change? What sort of support do you need?
See, we're looking at support from local authorities, that's a given. Then we would like influential people to support this cause, because, come on, we need influential people. And third, we need some notable sports people, so that we can get people drawn in from all sections of the society. Yeah, that's about it.
Let's give Ameeq a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Brilliant ideas. Thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah, and if you don't mind, thank you very much. I'd like to keep the microphone. Now we're going into another session that's very important as well, and I'd like to invite a bunch of very important people that have been part of this session throughout. I'd like to start off by inviting BOLDON, a man that doesn't need too much introduction. BOLDON is coming up, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, 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 welcome. And I'd also like to invite Rania ELWANI. She's of course a member of the Medical Commission, and she's also a member of the IOC, so she's very important. Great to have you here as well. And for me, one of my favorite people at this event, Esther VERGEER, she's coming up. She's a world tennis champion, and she's just an amazing human being. I had the opportunity of having breakfast with her the other day, and taking a photograph with her was one of the highlights for me of this event. Now, these three accomplished people are going to listen to some ideas. And it's going to be a session where they listen to these great ideas by young people. and then they gauge them based on what they've heard and determine whether or not they're good ideas or whether those ideas are workable. And these ideas are going to come from Stephen KAKOURIS, and they're also going to come from Adjaratou SAKHO and Paul BETREMIEUX. All right, if you come and sit next to me, guys. Excellent. Just come. Make yourself comfortable wherever you want to sit, wherever you want to sit clearly. I would have liked for you to, I'll move. It makes it easier for me to move.
There we go.
Yes, that's better, isn't it? All right, so now, Stephen, I'm going to start with you. You have come up with an idea, right?
My name's Stephen KAKOURIS. I am part of a global initiative, Olympism for Humanity. So it's more of a collaborative idea.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just mine. It's
Okay, and what sort of, talk to me about what exactly you mean by that.
so we have 120 delegates from 10 different countries who are youth leaders who are prepared to go back to their own countries and bring sports-related initiatives that are going to have an impact for change on their communities. And
Yeah, you're gone. And what?
well, each delegation is going to donate 50% of the proceeds to its own humanitarian cause, and then 50% of the proceeds go to empowering more students and more youth athletes to go get training, to use sports development to change the world.
So where's the money going to come from?
So each delegation is going to put on their own initiative.
Okay, so each delegation from each of those countries in which you're represented has its own initiatives, and that initiative raises some cash, and then 50% goes to...
Yeah, that's the thing. So basically we're trying to empower the youth in the world to come up, to work together, to be creative, to be innovative, to be superstars, and to change the world in the ways that they can. Put on programs, sports development, use sports as a tool to raise money and...
Okay, fair enough. I totally get it. You have a presentation to show us, have you
Yes.
not? So let's go to the podium and see
Okay,
that
thank
presentation.
you.
Let's give him a round of applause and all...
Folks,
Yeah.
can go first.
Okay. It's okay, Stephen. Yeah? Stephen wanted someone else to go first, but that's fine.
Sorry about that, everyone. I expected a presentation, and now I have a presentation. So, first of all, I'd like to say thank you. First of all, I'd like to say Salam Alaikum. My name's Stephen KAKOURIS. I come from Washington, D.C., and I represent Olympism for Humanity. I'm here to talk about a global initiative that will help us move ideas to action, that will help us move from the individual to the collective. I would like to invite you to join us, join our platform that will inspire, educate, provide tools and support for youths to create their own humanitarian programs using sport, education, and culture for social change. As you can see from this slide, this vision also aligns with Doha goals objectives. The here in Doha, the Olympism for Humanity ideas is an outcome from the 2014 Olympism for Humanity Summit as a collaborative project between creative youth and mentors. Here in Doha, youth ambassadors participated at workshops that was designed to equip them with necessary tools for them to take impactful action in their communities. Like the Mackenzies, they collaborated ideas, they found a humanitarian effort, and they learned about techniques to put ideas into action. The objective is to send home 120 04H Doha Goals youth leaders representing 10 countries who have participated in the task force on Monday to organize their own initiatives. Our goal is to implement 12 04H Doha Goals Festival in 10 different countries, the essence of which are to blend sport, education, and culture. These will take place during the United Nations Sport for Peace and Development Day, which is on April 6, 2015. The initial idea from our project is, like I said earlier, 50% of the funds will go to the agreed humanitarian project, and then 50% of the proceeds will go to a human investment, which is to send the most committed youth to further training at the 2015 Olympians for Humanity Summit in ancient Olympia, Greece, which is actually the birthplace of the Olympic Games. So, with all this being said, we would like to invite you to join and support this venture by investing in youth ambassadors to make this initiative tangible, sustainable, and viral. And while I'm up at the podium, I would like to ask all the youth involved in O4H to stand up, all the people who participated in the task force on Monday from 10 different countries, 120 delegates. This is how we're gonna make it happen. We've already started the legwork. We have all these manpower that's gonna bring it back, bring them back, bring some wonderful things to their own communities, change the world using sport. Thank you.
Very, very well said. Let's give Stephen a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. I wonder which of you guys is keen to weigh in on what you just heard. I'm just going to have one of you guys speak. Anybody?
Well, for me, I'm getting goosebumps even by the fact that you are creating a community more than I could have ever expected in just a couple of minutes. So a big round of applause again for doing that. I mean, there's so many people standing up already for you. So I guess that's really really strong point of already having so many followers in your idea. I guess one of the few things that I'm questioning is what kind of activities do you want the people to think of or to organize, and how are you going to coordinate that?
So this initiative is entirely up to the youth. We believe in empowering. So each delegation from each individual country, it's their job to come up with a humanitarian effort or initiative, plan it, go through the legwork, find, using the resources they have to put it on, to make it happen, and then we use a platform of technology to keep in touch with each delegation. And then on April 6th, we're going to have all the initiatives happen at once. So we're having a global festival celebrating sports development and peace building.
I think part of the reason why I like that is that you don't impose skiing on a country like Uganda that doesn't have snow.
That was going to be exactly
So-
my point. That
yeah.
was going to be exactly my point.
Yeah.
I think one of the real brilliant aspects of what he's already started is that, like you said, there are people who sit in a country that think, okay, for example, I can use my country for example. There was a mission recently to make baseball a big deal in Trinidad and Tobago. Well, we are a former Commonwealth, we are a Commonwealth country. We're used to cricket. When we see baseball, the bat looks funny.
Yeah.
So you have these people who came down and said, oh yes, we want to introduce you to the game of baseball. And we went, yeah, we don't like baseball because we like cricket. So one of the brilliant things about your idea is let the kids figure out what's important to them. Because if you, as you know, I'm sure it wasn't too long ago before you were a young child, the one thing kids hate is being told what to do.
Let's give Stephen a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Really good stuff. I'm terribly excited about this session already. I think it's brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. I'd now like to introduce you to Adjaratou who is SAKHO, who is from Senegal. Let's give her a round of applause. She is from the African Leadership Academy as well, so she's one of the more brilliant Africans. You don't just go to that academy unless you're extremely exceptional. Let's give her a round of applause and have a listen to what she said.
A quote by Michelle Bachelet, the first female president of Chile, says, "As long as women face violence and discrimination, our efforts to eradicate poverty, achieve equality, and advance human rights and democracy will not succeed." Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Adjaratou Mamkafa. I'm 18 years old, and I'm here to present an idea that has the potential to shape the lives of millions of women around the world. I got my first taekwondo kimono when I was 12 years old. For a 12-year-old girl growing up in Senegal, receiving a taekwondo kimono is a life-changing event. As a matter of fact, most of the girls practicing martial arts between the age of 6 and 12 tend to drop out due as a consequence of the discrimination they have to face. One of the most oppressing types is surely violence against women. A study conducted by UN Women in 2011 noted that cases of sexual abuse had doubled in only 5 years, reaching 1.3 cases per day, and that 60% of the accused in these incidents are not brought to justice. Research done by the Center 113 in New York shows that martial arts have the potential to teach children lifelong values such as self-respect and respect for others. While brainstorming on a solution to the urgent need of protecting Senegalese women and girls, I realized that tackling violence against women in Senegal goes along with changing the mindset of its people. And that is how I came up with the idea of the Kick for Girls initiative. Kick for Girls, abbreviated as K4G, is a youth-led non-profit organization that seeks to empower and protect Senegalese women through martial arts using education as a platform. The vision is to create an environment in which women are physically and morally safe to be efficient development actors. K4G's plan is divided into 2 long-term goals and 1 short-term goal. Our big ambition is to be present in at least 4 African countries and to be a sub-institution of the Senegalese Ministry of Sport within 7 years. But for now, our short-term goal is to reach 200 children through our program by 2016. The idea evolves around incorporating ethics in the education of kids from when they are 3 years old. In the mixed classes, children will develop a sense of mutual respect despite each other's gender. And this will surely lay the ground for a society of tolerance. Now you may be asking how we are going to take K4G from being a dream to being a reality. And the answer is by piloting this summer the first ever K4G 2015 camps in Dakar, Senegal. The objective of the camps is to have a better understanding of our market and the impact of martial arts in the Senegalese context, and also to test our prototypes. The first camp will gather 20 girls between the age of 14 and 18 to teach them self-defense techniques so that they can protect themselves in case they are targets of sexual offenses. The second camp will gather 20 children between the age of 3 and 8 years old to teach them martial arts and lifelong values such as self-respect and respect for others through a curriculum based on interaction, values, and skill. As a startup, I am well aware of the challenges I might face in bringing this idea to life. These include gaining the trust of people and organizations to provide the necessary support and resources, and to have a sustainable model for the initiative. The pilot phase will also require approximately $2,000. Therefore, I hope that the Doha Girls Forum will help me build a diverse network that will enable me the formation of a Doha Girls student ambassadors for K4G, and to also expand K4G's mission globally through international chapters. Ladies and gentlemen, the global social and economic growth has become a race where we tend to forget the oppressed masses behind the start line. By supporting K4G and my colleagues' initiatives, we are giving a hand to those oppressed masses so that they can also be part of the race. Thank you.
A round of applause. If you just stay at the podium, it's very interesting. Rania, I want you to weigh in on this idea. What do you think?
Sure, I have one comment and then one question. My comment is, of course, it's a great thing to focus on women in a community and try to empower them more, because that's how you actually change the community. Women are not just daughters, they're also mothers and sisters of others. My suggestion is that for the 3 to 8 year old classes, or even the older classes, my suggestion is maybe you could include also the boys among with the girls, so that you teach respect to both of them. They both have to know how to respect the other gender and try to protect their own sisters and brothers, and be one community that takes care of each other. So maybe the inclusion of younger boys in the second camp, the 3 to 8 year olds, will also teach long-term values for the community boys as well. Just as we said today, having a women's topic does not mean that men do not get involved. You have to involve and teach and change the mentality of the whole community. My question is who would help you establish the curriculums to teach? Is it through sport or through education?
So for your comment, I mentioned in my speech that in the mixed classes, so
Okay.
it means that we're going to have boys and girls together. Because I believe in the same thing, developing values for both genders. It will help, because they are the ones who are going to create a society of tolerance, and we'll need both boys and girls. And for your question, I'm currently planning to partner with the Ministry of Sports and the people from Doha who have the expertise in sports and sociology and also education. So they can help me design the curriculum. And I also have my classmates in African Leadership Academy who are really passionate about developing any idea that has a social change.
Well
so
done.
I'm well aware that I have a very supportive community around
Great
me.
projects, and if you need any one of us, we are happy to help.
Thank you.
Let's give a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Paul is up next.
Thank you, Alan. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Paul Edmond. I'm French, and I'd like to welcome you to the first, and hopefully not the last, presentation of my sports project. So I came up with the idea because throughout my studies at ESSEC Business School, Paris, France, and also in the frame of the International Sports Marketing Chair that I'm glad to represent today, I have already launched several projects, and each time I went through the same steps over and over again. So I thought, why not enable project leaders to gain time and efficiency by facilitating those steps? And even more than that, why not allow project leaders to dream bigger, as Paris Saint-Germain goes in France? In fact, MSP, as I call it, is about building a bridge between young leaders' ambitions and their real means. To achieve this, the digital platform My Sports Project would rely on 3 pillars. First of them is that it's didactical. There's no need to be a sports business professional to launch a sports project, but it helps. MSP would explain young leaders what sport business is like and what the relationships between the different stakeholders are, so that they can understand how to create win-win situations. In fact, it's all about coaching them and giving them a precise overview of the environment they will be stepping in when launching their sports project. The second pillar of MSP is its comprehensiveness. I believe successful projects are run in the long term in general. And even if MSP is a Kickstarter, it will support leaders from the beginning to the end of their project. So we are comprehensive in the lifetime, but also in the development, because we care about business, legal, and sustainability issues. We care about business because we provide young leaders with all the tools they need to create their project. How to define a ticketing policy, how to raise media attention, how to get sponsors, how to create communication plan, everything they need. We care about legal because all the projects have to be registered, and when I mean registered, I mean recognized by the state. And finally, we care about sustainability because it's one of our tasks as world citizens. On Monday, we had a wonderful task force just over there about sustainability for major sports events. And there were lots and lots of really good initiatives to implement, and I believe they can be implemented at grassroots level events to run successfully in the long term. So when I say sustainability, I also mean on an economical and environmental level, but also on a social one. And this comes to the third pillar of MSP, social. MSP is social because when people register on the platform to be able to use all our tools, they have to commit to support one local associations tackling youth issues, thus creating or enhancing communist belonging sense and helping each other. So now that you've understood that MSP is didactical, comprehensive, and social, let me tell you about the people we'll be targeting. In the first step, we'll try to address existing structures, sports associations and clubs that are looking for development and willing to create sports events, sports tournament, sports team. And second, we'll target individual project leaders starting from scratch. But in both cases, we want to make people aware that they can go further than what they thought, opening their minds to a real world of new opportunities. And this relates directly to the first part, the didactical one. Teach and train people to go further. We'll be taking their motivation and our experience of sport business to create big things all together. So as you can see, MSP is about helping others. And this is also a reason why I'm here today at Doha Goals Forum 2014. I need help. I'm truly convinced that having the support of ambassadors would benefit to MSP. And the support would be two-pronged. Moral support, because it would give us legitimacy to help others, and physical support. Because if you have a look at the faces of the children over there with Roger Federer, well, the smiles on their face is probably the best reward you can give to a project leader. I'm done with the presentation of MSP, and I'd like to end with a short message for all the judges and all the top-level athletes that have come here at Doha Goals to inspire us. I think and I hope that I can talk on behalf of all the people attending the forum, and especially the student ambassadors, when I say thank you, not for your intention, though I appreciated it, but for everything that you've already given to sport and will keep on giving. Thank you very much.
Atto, I'd like you to come in, Atto BOLDON. What do you think about that?
Well, the first question to me that came up in my head is, are you like a little bit in between a company that is organizing it all and maybe like a university that is teaching some management classes or some sports marketing classes? What's your unique point in this?
The positioning is to be a company, but the didactical part is very important because since we are dealing with people who are not potentially aware of everything that goes on in the sports world, we need to teach them what sponsors are looking like, what media want with their right holders, etc. So the big thing is to educate people first and then make business with them.
All right, but do you think the people that you're going to work with federations, maybe also know all that stuff already?
Yeah, well,
or how are you going to cope with that?
So as I said, the biggest target is small and local clubs and associations So we will not go to international federations who obviously know all these things, but mainly to the local basketball club of your area and help them create a new tournament for their home city, or like very local projects.
Okay.
Ato, do you have a word before we conclude this?
Yes, if I'm understanding you correctly, and it's sort of a follow-up to what she asked, what are you going to deliver for me? Okay, I'm holding the money, wanting to give it to somebody who can do something like this. What are you going to bring that's unique to this situation? In other words, what am I going to get from you that I'm not going to get from 2 or 3 other people who claim to want to do what you're going to do as well?
Well, the thing is that most of the crowdfunding websites that you can find already have only fundraising money side, and the difference with my sports project is that we really want to educate people and have a social impact on local communities. As I said, when you register on the platform to use our tools, you commit yourself to supporting a local association, like dealing with healthcare, dealing with youth, dealing with education, with anything you want. So in the end, you will have local leaders supporting their local associations. So that should create like something that could never happen with classic fundraising websites.
Okay, very good.
Okay.
Very good.
Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a round of applause to Paul. We'd also like to say thank you very much to Stephen for a fantastic presentation, and to Adjaratou as well. Let's give them a round of applause. And to our esteemed judges over there, thank you very much. My name is Alan Kasuja, and I thank you.